All I'm using for bait is maggots. Why? Because they are one of the best baits you can possibly use, loved by so many fish. I'll just show you the way that I rig them, how I use attractants to bring the fish in to that bait, and how you can get a real variety of fish doing it. Now the rig that I'm using is pretty straightforward. I've got a burley cage as my sinker, so that's got some weight on it, some lead weight on it, that weighs 50 grams, and that's running. I've got a line stop there, or a float stopper there, so that it only goes that far, but it's free running. And then I've got that going down to a size 8 hook with some nice big juicy maggots on it. Maggots have a pointy end and a flat end. The pointy end is the head, so we don't want to put the hook through the head, we want to put it through that flat end. When we're putting the hook on, we just want to nick it through the base. So not through the head, but through the other side. So all we do is we just gently squeeze it enough to hold it, and then just put the hook just gently through the skin. If you do that, then you get the maggot doing that, which is why it's so attractive to fish. Caught countless brim and trout, redfin, mullet, and plenty of other species on a hook this small. Otherwise they'll go a bit bigger, but when you're dealing with really small maggots, you have to use a small hook. So that's the hook completely baited up, and you can see why it's so attractive to fish. So once I've then baited up my hook, what I want to do is I want to put some of the maggots also into my burley, because that way then the fish become habituated to looking for that bait. So I'll put some of this in here in my burley cage. All I'm doing is I put them in there, I sandwich them into the middle, into the burley cage. So now what happens is when this casts in, it drops out those maggots on the bottom near my hook. They pick up those loose ones, they pick up the ones that aren't on my hook, and they get a free offering. And then what happens is then they find the ones on my hook, and they're more likely to take that. Because I'm using burley, it's important that I cast out to the same spot each time. So I'll take my time in just working out where I'm going to cast to, and then just make sure that I do that each time. So I've got my target over there. Okay, hit that and put my rod down. Could be a fish, a couple of little hits on this, a couple of little pulls on it. Yeah, this will be something smallish, but first fish of the morning, so it's always good. What is it? It's a, okay, oh, it's a roach. Okay, there you go. So, little roach, size 8 hook, and some maggots.
There are plenty of other fish that really love maggots. Now here I've caught a really nice little redfin, and you can get quite a few of these on a well-presented maggot. But not only that, there's trout, and good-sized trout that love maggots. It's all about creating a target zone, getting some burley in, but making sure that there's plenty of free maggots within the mix that you have. If you go out there, start with the size 8 hook, something about as big as you want to take with maggots, and then if you're not catching fish, then you can go down in size. But the really important thing is to be making sure that you're casting fairly continuously, and you will get the fish. What's really great about the trout loving maggots is that the Victorian Fisheries Authority stocks a lot of our local community lakes, so you can catch those fish on this same setup. These fish that are put in there for you to catch, and this bait will do the trick. But it's just not freshwater fish that love maggots. Saltwater fish also. Species like trevally, like the one here, and also mullet. In fact, I've found that mullet are absolute suckers for a well-presented maggot. Using burley will really get the fish activity. Also into our estuaries and bay beaches. They're just as useful. There's plenty of brim to be caught there, and it is surprising at times how big they can be. So don't expect that you're always going to catch small fish. You can get fish like these pinkies. You can get good sized brim that are ready to take a bait. Maggots are really good to use presented under a float. There's a lot of species that will take them sort of suspended above the bottom. The thing is, I guess, since they're actually live and they're wriggling, the fish really sort of jump on them. Here I caught a little mullet on the float, but the great thing is it's using the float itself and watching that as an indicator, having fun doing that, and also catching a few fish at the same time. Maggots are a great backup bait. I find that I use them whenever the fishing gets really, really tough. I can't catch anything on other baits. I know that using maggots will bring them in. The only thing to note, of course, is that carp also like them. So expect at times in the freshwater, that's the fish you're going to bag.